Hey guys, it's Ryan with Fluid Health, bringing you another episode of Science Powered Fitness. Today we're going to be talking a lot about the nervous system. And there's two basic nervous systems in the body. We have our autonomic nervous system and we have our somatic nervous system. And we wanted to describe what those relationships were and the importance of understanding both in context of movement. So the first thing is the autonomic nervous system. Now, these are the non-volitional things. And I've written it out here on the board here, but really what is the autonomic? Well, the autonomic means that it's a self-regulating or a nervous system that is kind of underneath the veil of consciousness. So it means that the body is doing these processes on its own without you thinking about it. It's normally regulating what are called the non-cognitive homeostatic control mechanisms. So again, things that are happening underneath of your consciousness to control the intrinsic systems of health in your body. So circulation, breathing, digestion, core temperature, all the things that are happening underneath the surface all the time. And that's something that your body's doing on autopilot. You're diverting a lot of the emotional or mental energy to the things that you can control. And that's called the somatic nervous system. So the somatic nervous system is, again, voluntary or volitional. It processes sensory information from the environment, so we take in nervous system information from these little tripwires in our tissues, tells our brain what's going on in our environment, and we have a descending motor cortical that comes down. And then again, it controls things like walking or talking or any activities that we can control. Now the idea here is that when we're strength training, it's a lot of the somatic nervous system, right? So action, response. Again, you have a conscious thought of moving, you send that signal down, and the body contracts the muscle to make that movement occur. Now, that's under the control of the autonomic system. So it's important to remember that the body's first going to maintain your balance and internal health systems before it starts to allow you to regulate the somatic, and sometimes that can interfere with the way that you move the body. And this is an important concept because oftentimes there are autonomic issues that changes the way our body maintains its center of gravity because we have physiology that's asymmetrical. So the body's not symmetrical, it's not perfect right to left. We have weighted imbalances on the right side. And what that leads to is altered relationships in the autonomic activity as they adjust to that lateralization. And there's all sorts of physiology imbalances we could get into that aren't just movement based. But ultimately, the recognition is that that autonomic regulation has to support that asymmetry, and sometimes that shows up in poor movement patterns in the way that we move. So when we do exercises, there are some somatic exercises, and then there are autonomic exercises, or things that control the autonomic regulation, like breath. So when we start to see the interplay between an autonomic system, like breathing, and the somatic systems, like posture, well, then we have to understand both systems and how they operate together. So we recognize that breathing is a function of the autonomic system, and if it's asymmetrical based on the anatomy, we have to regulate that in order to move efficiently. So a lot of the work that we do with athletes and our individuals here in our studio is teaching them that under the surface veil that then impacts their ability to engage the somatic relationships, which then maintains the efficiency of the joint motion and then the movement profiles. So if that's something that you haven't heard of or aren't considering in your training processes and you're struggling, obviously would love to talk to you more about it because it is central to efficient movement, and we do need to know the body as a whole and both nervous systems. So if you have questions on that, reach out to us at admin@fluidhealthandfitness.com. Remember, your body is designed to move, so stay in motion. We'll see you next time.